Hi, welcome to 5D Tea Time. I'm your co-host, Lindsay Love, and this is
Krystal, Kristen.
So the conversation today is one that is quite exciting. It's a realization of where we're existing now and where we would like to be in the future or where we're moving. So we can call it 3D and 5D. We can call it old world and new world. It looks different to everyone. We can call it, more of an evolved being or evolved consciousness in this side, and lower dimensions, higher dimensions. There's a lot of different ways of looking at it, a lot of different perspectives on it. But first of all, kind of just like to dissect what it is I'm talking about, what we were discussing. So, Kristen, can you kind of delve into what do we mean by 3D and 5D, old world, new world, shift, transformation, change?
Well, this is a fun topic because I feel like it's what we're building the bridge from one to the other. And there are two different spaces. I don't feel like we can really occupy both spaces simultaneously. It's like a choice. There's kind of a resonance with one or a resonance with the other. And there is intermediary in between. Mm-hmm. There are, steps taken to release the old and invite more of the new in. But it's an active choice because you can't choose both at the same time. Actually, you can't actively choose to serve both. Mm-hmm. So that's a thing. There's the mechanics of it. We can call this old world more of the history that has been taught and told to us that is more of a war-based humanity, war-based history, built on religions and nation states and these power structures that kind of have had this ruling iron fist over humanity, and in a sense, there is a piece of the story that is feels like an entrapment or an enslavement story of humanity, that we're always serving this higher authority structure and God is outside of us and you need that intermediary to access that power of life. So it's a very disempowering place for the human soul and spirit. And in that way, the human soul and spirit's been very easily controlled and maneuvered into the agendas of nation states and it's we've just kind of gone along with those higher powers and authorities. Mm-hmm. And this is because of a lot of things that have happened in past timelines that are not talked about in historical records, the written records. And there's a lot of I want to say protection or even people who are in these archaeological sites revealing things in the earth records through pyramids and temples and different megalithic structures all over the planet saying, wait, there are civilizations buried under this planet and deep in the sea that reveal another story, that there were more timelines than what we've been told. I feel like this is what it's almost like the new world is remembering our ancient past and is bringing that to life for us to remember our direct access to this primary intelligence that is source energy, that is God's source of our soul's creation, and that there is that aliveness inside of everything here. And somehow this like old paradigm of entrapment and enslavement is like keeps it veiled. Because that old paradigm of entrapment and enslavement has like commodified everything. It's a very like usury system. It's a system of haves and have-nots, and very transactional exchanges. It's a very extractive and parasitic, actually, way of living, and operating systems are built on that kind of harvesting energetic, whether it's resources from the earth, human resources, relationships with each other. Like the whole paradigm is like locked into this bi-wave, this codependent interlocking. It's connected to the Fibonacci spiral. It's connected to the Fibonacci code, where the Fibonacci spiral, the sequence takes from the previous number and adds. So it has to take from the previous number and then add to itself. It can't be whole within itself in this old geometry.
Take from another to have more for it.
To have more for it. And then it just goes on and on and on like that. Right? That's how the lineages have been operating for millennia. But I don't feel we were always that way. I do feel at some point, maybe I'm speaking too much right now without giving you the floor. Maybe like take notes and interrupt me anytime. But I do feel like there has been genetic manipulation in our past. And I saw this hieroglyphic in Egypt in 2012. And I'm like, who are these beings and what they're pulling on our DNA? There was genetic manipulation at some point, maybe from the Anunnaki, we don't know. But these are like pieces of our history. So if our genes were manipulated at some point into a 2-strand, what were we before? Well, a lot of us working on this ascension timeline and actually working on this bio-liberation of the human form, and rebuilding our consciousness pathways to allow and capacitate more high frequency energy. We know that we have 12 solar strands of DNA. And so it's a lot to say, perhaps, but my evidence personally in my research is in those hieroglyphics in Egypt. I mean, go to Egypt and check it out. Like there was genetic tampering with, and what we're working on in this ascension timeline is restoring our solar light bodies and our angelic human DNA templates. Angelic human, it's what we are. And there has been a fall, and that fall might have a bigger story, than what, it restarts at Genesis, right? It's that Genesis is a restart, it's a reset story. So we're kind of retracing in our, accessing of the fifth dimension, and feeling these qualities of joy and expansion and love, unconditional and transcendence, and like an inner sustained joy and bliss, like as an actuality, not as like a philosophy, like, oh, that would be nice, like, no, there's actually an inner sustained light that is a foundation for these qualities of happiness. True, genuine inner happiness. This is based on a new mathematical code, and it's a tri-wave code where where the numbers include all inside the addition and multiplication of its value. So the 0 plus 1 is 1. Then you return to 0. Plus 1 is 2. You return to 0. Plus 1 plus 1 plus 2
and the one
4.
make 2. Yeah.
You return to the 0 point. You return to God. You return to source. You return to the free energy, atomic light inside of the cells and atoms of your body, of your heart and soul. You return to 0 and you create from there in the vertical alignment with source. And it's not so much this usury system of like, oh, I'll give you this if you give me that. Oh, I'm going to love you when you do this for me. It's not that condition. Those aren't the conditionalities of the fifth. And it's a different mathematical code. It's a different baseline vibration that is, it's a free energy vibration. It's complete free energy consciousness. Did I leave the screen there for a minute?
No, you
Okay.
did.
So that's I mean, that's I kind of went high and I went into foundational pieces, but it is a different mathematical geometry that holds new templates for new form, because everything is mathematics, at its base, and those mathematics create new geometries, new like constructions, energetic templates, and new forms come out from those templates. So we're seeing in the world now kind of reflections of like old creational templates from more of the binary system, right? So that's why, meditate, go in, do not look at our outer reflections as a reference point, because where we're going it's not what we see. It's something that's being kind of created.
Yeah, it's disillusionment. Yeah.
So please,
Well, no, it's just how do we really know how much of it is actually true and real to begin with? And I think throughout the journey of my life, as this ascension journey is occurring, I've started to question that more and more and more and more. Has what I've been taught, is that actually the reality, or is there some kind of manipulation of the information behind that? And I think so many of us are experiencing that right now, is like, what is true? And then the more we dig into what we don't know if it is true right now, the more we start to question what we've been taught and told throughout our lifetime. And this is all part of the ascension process. And I think it's a very important part to start questioning, to start seeking, to start looking deeper, to start looking for more information beyond the surface level. And that's part of the journey. That's part of the process. And it takes time, it takes diligence, it takes focus. But when you feel the call to do it, it becomes almost the number one focus in a way. The ascension journey is the number one focus, but everything that's involved in ascending or going on that journey becomes like forefront, because it ultimately is our connection with source, our connection with God. It's where we're wanting to move towards, and why we came to this planet at this time to do so. And so I think it's a very profound moment. And then as we start to see more clearly, then the world we're existing in right now, there's seemingly quite a lot of darkness, honestly, some despicable darkness. And so not only do we have people kind of enslaved to jobs and just kind of that taking, like another taking from them, or like we were saying, Fibonacci sequence, they're kind of enslaved to the daily grind but yeah, so we have that. And then we have kind of this darkness underneath. But then the ascension journey comes in and you start to see more clearly, and you start to dig deeper, and you start to question more. And then it becomes actively choosing, like you were saying, Kristen, the things that no longer resonate, the things that don't feel good. And that's a feeling within, that's a soul feeling, that's a soul resonance. I was talking a little bit about anxiety prior to jumping on this call. And I kind of had this epiphany of like, we have a lot of anxiety when the world isn't resonating with us anymore, when the old story isn't resonating with, when the old patterns and ways of doing things are no longer resonant. And so the anxiousness kind of comes up as a sign. It's our emotional guidance system of like, okay, this isn't working. This isn't working for me anymore. And so knowing thyself and using the emotions that we were blessed with as a guidance system to recognize not what feels true and what doesn't, but what isn't working anymore in life. And that's the call in my mind to the ascension process, to the step, to the next level, to the next phase.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is no longer serving. And in order to get to where I'm going, this is my sign point. This is my signpost of like, changes need to be made, shifts need to happen here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the active choice point is. It's like, we can't coexist in both worlds simultaneously. I mean, we can, it'll be a very uncomfortable place. I mean, generally that means wanting to be there and existing over here. It's very uncomfortable, right? Because you're in the old world wanting to be there. And that's where the anxiety and the emotions and the overwhelm and all of that's coming up, because it's like, well, I want to get there, but I'm still thinking and acting in this way here.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes that active choice to make the changes and make the transitions that aren't always comfortable. Sometimes things fall away. Sometimes things that have been in our life for a really long time fall away. Sometimes an old belief system breaks down, that it's like, oh my God, I thought that was like at the core of who I was. And I think that's what we're experiencing as a society as a whole right now, is like these massive like belief systems that are at the core and foundation of what we believe everything, our existence has been built on. And those are very shaky and starting to crumble.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very interesting to watch as this shift occurs, because I believe the two worlds will exist simultaneously, in my opinion, and it will be a choice of which one you prefer to exist in. But to get to the 5D, to get to the new world, it will take diligence and courage and making hard decisions and letting things go and feeling uncomfortable with the new and the change and the transformation. But it will be blissful. It will be worth it. It will be why we came into this planet. We will actually be a human being. I always reference this, a human doing as opposed to a human being. Like, we came on this planet to be, not to just do, pay the bills, do this, buy the thing, pay the bills, do more, do more, do more, do more.
Mm-hmm.
What is that doing for us? Just in this never ending cycle of doing.
Mm-hmm.
Miss out on all the beauty and the magic that's around us
Mm-hmm.
by just being, all the creativity that can come when we just allow that time and that space for that to come through. And anxiety and overwhelm follows those emotions of doing, because it's too much. Our nervous systems aren't made for that. We're not made to be enslaved in that way. We're not made to be doing. And the easier we become overwhelmed, it's like more of a sign that I feel like, starting to move more into that new energy, because it's a clearer recognition. It's almost in our face of like, yeah, I don't want that life anymore. I told Kristen the other day, just the old way I used to work. I used to grind it out, man. I don't know why I said man, but I used to just grind it out, I mean, work like 12 hours, 14-hour days.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got breast cancer, and it was such a huge blessing because it showed me so much, but I'm just not going to do that anymore. I didn't come to this earth to do that. That's not why I'm here. And that is very clear to me. So that's a total different kind of side note, but yeah, we're getting these messages all the time to help us ascend, to bring us clarity about what's no longer working. And now what do we want to create next that's more in alignment with this new world that we're moving into? And so yeah, listen when those signs come, and actively choose, make it a choice. And it will take courage. There will be fear. It might be challenging, it might be scary, but it's going to be worth it. It will be worth it.
So have you identified if you're not here to work, Lindsay? Like if like grinding it out, man, is the motto.
Man, I love that.
It's perfect. I'm grinding it out, man. I'm doing it. I mean, it is the voice of that mode.
Yeah.
What, I mean, as where you're sitting now, what's in your heart that you would just like to declare is your reason for being here, as much as you can see from where you're sitting now? Yeah, what, I mean, in that like activity of choice, moving.
Yeah, kind of like, what does my new world look like in a way? Like, what will I be?
Yes.
Being?
What do you see?
I see family, I see friends, I see community, I see clean oceans, I see yummy water and like beautiful rain that isn't dirty. I see amazing food everywhere, food gardens, permaculture, all of that being grown. I see creativity, time to write, time to dance, time to sing, time to play music, time to paint, time to whatever that looks like, but time, like having time for true connection rather than rushing through the day, rushing through a call. I schedule every single one of my phone calls, to make sure I have that time because I want to be present. But how nice would it be just to like spontaneously be able to talk to people throughout the day because I don't have 15 other things that are waiting on me to get done. Yeah, and I just see vibrant health, this yeah, the body is like emanating light ultimately. The electromagnetic field is a glow around the body. And money isn't a thing. It's kind of just, I feel like it's more like barter and trade. I made this beautiful thing, so it's like, let's trade for that. Or I need this thing and I have something I can give you. But there's not struggle. Like, it's not struggle. It's not grinding. It's yeah. So that I feel like is kind of it. I just feel like there's creativity. There's just time. There's time for joy. There's time. I just see myself eating, and you can eat for a couple hours with your family and no one has to be anywhere. And the connections are just so beautiful because there's time there to develop them and focus on them and give the time that they deserve. And the connections with the animal world is just, yeah, it's also very profound and very beautiful because I feel like, I'm kind of talking in generalities, but this is specific for me. Like, there's just a connection to the earth and an appreciation for, there's no distractions or like, how can I make this money, or how can I do this, or how, it's just a feeling of like freedom, liberation. And I think that the health just, I don't have to do anything for the health. It just naturally abounds because there is that freedom and there is that liberation. There are foods that are nutrient rich. There is clean water. We're not breathing toxins and, getting them from the shower. All of this, no matter how hard we try, our world is a bit toxic at the moment. So no matter how hard we try to stay as clean as possible and eat as clean as possible. It's just kind of inevitable that we absorb those chemicals and things like that. So yeah, just this new world, it's kind of like Avatar to me in a way. I know it's crazy to compare it to a movie, but it's kind of a visual like that. You know, there's such a deep connection with nature and just a deep appreciation. And plant medicine is so beautiful. And yeah, the connections just with the people in your community and family are so strong.
Mhm. Mm.
How do you like, what's your vision for you? I know I kind of like talked more generally, but for you or generally, what do you see?
It's interesting, the whole food piece. I do see that humans will, like, we will be, like what you're saying about nutrient density and just the richness of soil content for just incredible, yeah, fragrant foods, everything, it is a sense that like everything's kind of like desensitizing, like the smell of food in the grocery store. It's like, can I smell an orange, please? Like, where are the smells? I mean, of course, if we have our own gardens, we can, but it is, I guess um, I do see in a sense that we will be just having more time to breathe just expansively and deeply. And in that deep breath with the just richness of the atmosphere, the atmosphere will be nourishment and food. Like the atmosphere itself and just the grounding, the earthing of the body is kind of our sustenance and nourishment. And the water, that the need for food almost lessens because we're so resourced by life. It's interesting because it's almost like, food can be another addiction in the 3Ds. It's like you can't consume enough of the caffeine or the food or whatever it is, because there's just an insatiable appetite in that space. And when we like move into more of that just presence, connected, grounded, elevated space, like we're resourced in ways where even like the anxiousness of the scarcity of not having enough, it's like it's not there. So there's just so much more that we let in to provide for us. And it's kind of like it's in the ether, it's in the atmosphere. I feel that like we're just more inner sustained by this. And the thing about it is you were just sharing so many things. I don't have a pen and paper here. So I was like, oh, I wish I could take notes, because you should really play this, listen back on this one, because you're saying some beautiful things. And when you were talking about your visions and your dreams, you were like, your energy got so big. And then when you started talking about toxic and poison and the shower, you were like, you went into like, yeah, it's a downward spiral, it's just like this consumptive thing. So it's even like our words are so powerful too, because they actualize and energize the thing. So even I see like the way we speak just being so from the heart and so visionary, and speaking to like life thriving systems and a life thriving just in tonality, and just like our existence is just in the system of it's in a life thriving system. You said something too that I wanted to highlight, and I can't remember. It was about the two systems. There is a sense when I was straddling the two, as I was straddling the two worlds. And maybe in a sense, like I might still have like a pinky toe in the old world, because there are still some blind spots where um I get pulled back in. It's like total hell, and it's like so identifiable when I'm there. The point I want to make though is that the new world is here. Like we don't go anywhere else to access it, which is really trippy, and which is really cool about the earth, because the earth is actually holographic. Like so multidimensional. There's so much going on this planet. I mean, we call it a planet. What is this really? Because it supports so much dimensionality that I think it's beyond our ability to comprehend right now. But just the fact that we can talk about this differentiation, that there's a vibrational quality that's very dense and very kind of in a slave system mentality. And what's very interesting about that system is that the consumption model is on a certain level, it's becoming very comfortable. Like hell is actually beautiful, like, and comfortable and cozy. So you actually don't realize you're in hell, but like you're not.
But that's the deception of it all. So that's the beauty. Yeah.
It's a part of the deception, like, because when we're living in a system where there is still, what do they say, an $80 billion human trafficking and growing industry, but we're comfortable in our space, but we're somehow like taking antidepressants in that space just to cope with this kind of thing. You don't even know why you're depressed, but it's because we're not actually seeing what's really going on here to bust it up. Like that's a part of that system, even if it's cozy and comfortable, but you're like disempowered. Like you don't even have a sense of your own inner voice taking a stand for you. There's you know, there's ignorance in that space, right? So what this new space is, it's like the veil of ignorance, like completely. There's clarity, you know, there's clarity, there's like integrity, there's self-honesty. Like I mean what I say what I mean. It's connected to like, and I'll take responsibility for, you know, that space that I'm creating. There's a lot of like sovereign, inner, authentic, like authority that's aligned with God. That like that's what I'm answering to, and that's my maker, and that's what I'm exposing myself to, like the good, the bad, and the ugly. Just like that's what I'm working with, right? Not people pleasing and going with a group consensus flow when it's actually, you know, leading us down like the stream of poison rivers and oceans, and, you know, bleaching out the coral reefs and all that, you know, just like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be complacent with that. I'm not with that. I'm not with the group thing anymore. Like I'm alive, I'm awake, and yeah, it might be painful, but like I want to know from the inside out. I want the, yeah. And I think that might be like the lattice from the 3D to the 5D. I'm not speaking so much, I guess, on what my vision is, but it is just about abundance. I mean, it's an abundance code is what I feel. What you're saying, family, community, gardens, water, earth, like just the right use of energy, people like living virtuously, really being a brothers and sisters keepers, and just feeling the aliveness of creativity to create music poetry and meals and architecture and, just, and there's telepathics, there's extra, heightened sensory perception, so we're communicating much more clearly. We're sensitized to each other. We're very sensitive to one another's thoughts, feelings, and emotions, because we're seeing each other as ourselves almost. So it's like really like, do unto the others you would do unto you is like a living model of, like we're guardians of the earth, we're guardians of each other, because we love God. Like we're celebrating this multifaceted diamond of God, and we're like making even more beautiful with our enhancement of this human consciousness. Like, wow. So cool. Can we make God even more beautiful, or just not even make God more beautiful, but just allow the beauty of that to be revealed through the living expressions? And I love what you say about the animals. It's just like the telepathics with the animals, and to not have the fear relationship with the animal kingdom, but to really like, they're our family, and to really be with the beauty of that relationship. Gosh, I mean, just like imagine like having just a closer relationship with the animal kingdom. So magical. Like just more friendships, more relationships, just so multidimensionally. Yeah, earth, air, fire, water, plants, animals, everything, just deeper, more connected relationships. And it's really who we are, actually. It's just peeling off, these layers, these veils of distraction. Let's call it distraction. We've been really distracted.
And I say it's really like coming back to foundationally what life is about. And hear these top five things of what people regret on their deathbeds, right? And so often it's like, I wish I wouldn't have worked so much. I wish I would have spent more time with my family. I would have spent more time with my friends. I wish I wouldn't have cared so much about money, kind of thing. And I think you said this, but you can't take it with you when you're gone. So what is it that we truly, 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 if we search our heart and souls, why are we really here? And maybe that looks different to everyone. Maybe their priorities are different. But for me, foundation, it is the connection, connection with source. It starts there. And then that just, kind of exudes or emanates out. And the deeper the connection with source, the deeper connection we can create with our environment and animals and the people around us. Because a deeper connection with source, the more deeply connected we are with ourselves. So we aren't impeded by all that extra stuff that can't take with you when you go.
No. And I love that just the opening the paradigm to not measuring time in days, but in lifetimes. Like we are on an eternal journey. Like this is so the fear of death and fighting time in the 3D. Right. It's like you address time. It's like time and money are the hook of the binary, right? And that's the code to trap us into, and that's what keeps us in that vibration. So it's a tough code to crack. I mean, those are heavy shackles. I mean, they're heavy shackles. We're busting shackles here. But to really access abundance code, it is tapping into source, and it's direct. it's a birthright for each human being.
I love that. And I just want to, this is the last thing that I have to say, but manifestation, the ability to really manifest and create, and that goes along with creativity, right? But when you say abundance, creativity, they're like, we will be great at manifesting because, or creating the life that we want, or creating the things that we want, because we're more in control of our thoughts, words, and actions. There's more of a purity there. There's more of a connectedness with source because of all of these things. Creating what it is we want and need will be much easier, but will happen more quickly and with more flow and more ease. And magical is the word that's coming to mind. It is like there's a sense of magic to it, and I've experienced it in the 3D as as my ascension journey has gone on. There's been plenty of magic and moments of maybe when I was in between worlds, like really accessing more the 5D world or more the new world. And I remember in the beginning when those things happened, when manifestations would come about, or just undeniably synchronistic or magical moments would happen, it was just so profound. Mm-hmm. And then as life went by, it became less and less profound because it's almost like it just became life. Mm-hmm. And then I started noticing like the smaller things that would happen, smaller details today and all of that stuff, and how it's all happening for me and how it's all aligned. And I just thought that was so cool. And kind of, sorry, I'm getting off topic, but I think as we move into new world, like we won't really want for anything because everything will be provided or be created by us.
Wow. That's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The cessation of hunger on all levels.
Yes, exactly.
No more hungry bellies, no more hungry souls. We're just it. We're it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Allowing the abundance codes to drop in and be realized through us. Very cool. So good. Lindsay, I love this topic, and I feel like we could talk about this every week into infinitum, because it's just,
I agree.
It's such a thing that we're creating, and it is why we're here, to be Lindsay Love and Krystal Kristen, like exactly. To be the love and the light that we are, and and however that looks, whatever mediums we find to share that. That's the reason.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate one more thing. Like Kristen said, it's here and now. It's not somewhere that needs to be traveled to, or you don't go through like a black hole and come out the other side and you're in the 5D, or you don't have, there's no, like, I mean, I don't know what the future holds, but I don't think it requires death or anything. Like it's accessible right here and right now. Mm-hmm. But it's an active choice in the creation of it.
And when like you choose it, Lindsay, and when I choose it, and when our viewers choose it, moment to moment to moment, like it's helping the collective choose it. It's helping, like, as more of us turn on, it creates more of that. We call it the morphogenetic field for more to have access. Like we're accessing this because of so many accessing this. And so many in the lineage that have held the light and the love on this planet, right? And the memory. So like we're turning on, the more of us that turn on, the more that can turn on. And so your choice is an act of service to humanity. Like that is actually how it works.
I love that. Whew, I feel complete. Well said, girl. That was a great way to end it.
Awesome. Love you all so much.
Love you.
Have a beautiful day, evening, night, whenever you're watching this. Please like and share and subscribe.
Yes.
And see you next week.
See you next week.